Hey folks, Brian Blessing in Las Vegas, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hard to fathom, but it is the Week 16 opening line report. Wild how fast the season's gone, and thankfully the NFL soldiering through. Looks like they're going to make it. All right, let's get the fun started. As always, we give you the advanced number before the games were played, numbers that were actually wagered upon. These are numbers we use from the Superbook over at the Westgate, and then what the numbers opened after games were played. So let's dive in. We have a Christmas game, Minnesota at New Orleans. The advanced number was 6.5. Looking at the Saints, a 7-point favorite in this particular spot. And the one thing we're looking at here is a Minnesota team that comes up short against the Bears. And the problem was they couldn't get off the field defensively. The Bears only putted once, and it was on the first drive of the game. Now, New Orleans, and Minnesota's still breathing, but New Orleans comes up short against Kansas City. Breeze shakes off some of the rust, put up numbers. He threw 3 touchdowns. He wasn't stretching the field till late in the game when the Chiefs were kind of in a prevent mode. This is about getting right, getting Breeze some rhythm here. Certainly looks like the Packers all but home and cooled for the top seed in the NFC and that all-important bye. Saturday, Tampa Bay, 9-5. It wasn't looking good for a long time against Atlanta, but they get the win. Tampa Bay currently the 6th seed at Detroit. The advance, we were waiting for a number because we weren't sure about Matt Stafford, so there actually wasn't an advance. After the games were played, Stafford did play against Tennessee. We're looking at Tampa Bay, 7.5. Total on the game is 54. Now, Stafford had his moments against Tennessee's defense, which can be sketchy at times. Indoors, could see a lot of points in this. I would think maybe even the total goes up a half point, maybe a point up to 55. San Fran at Arizona. Arizona's a 3-point favorite. They get the win over the Eagles, so they find a way to get the job done there. And this number is up to 4. The total on the game is 50. The Niners, this is what you get with Mullins. He runs hot and cold. In the first half, San Francisco gift wrapped points all over the place for the Cowboys. They fought hard, but they came up short. So, a San Francisco team that really looked like they had gotten back in the picture now are toast on a stick. Arizona, you fight until the bitter end here, and they're knee deep in the hunt here at the bottom of the wild card race. Again, I think we're down to what's San Francisco's mindset here? Do they keep fighting, knowing that things are all but done? Then we have Miami and Vegas. Vegas is 7-7. Miami is 9-5. Miami, a 2.5-point favorite. Total in the game is 48. The Raiders secondary has just been a dumpster fire, but with Tua, he doesn't stretch the field, so that actually really it levels the playing field for the Raiders. Miami ran the ball with a committee against the Patriots, and they gashed them on the ground. But it's this Miami defense that saves the day time and time again. Mariota actually jumped in for Derek Carr. If Mariota is in, watch him. Again, a lot of that run-pass option, the read option, and he was very effective in the Raiders. They had a shot, and they found a way to come up short against the Chargers. They do have extra time to prepare, but believe me, the Raiders all but done, mathematically breathing, have to win. But Miami doesn't want to take any chances at the bottom of this AFC, which is getting packed with quality teams. Interesting game here. The total on the game, it's only 48. I could see this number maybe coming up just a little bit, because don't forget, Miami's defense, they can produce instant points, turning defense into offense. Let's go to Sunday. Atlanta, what do we do with these guys? 4-10. They can put points up. They can compete with anybody, but they just always find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. They're at Kansas City. Kansas City, an 11-point favorite. Total in the game's 53.5. I'd really watch the weather forecast here, but Atlanta can put points on the board, usually more often than not indoors and especially at home. And Mahomes, very efficient. Obviously, the weapons they have all over the place. Very efficient in their win against the Saints. But no, that we had injury concerns. It looked like Bell was okay at the end of the game against the Saints. Edwards-Helaire certainly did not look good. So you're going to get a mix of Bell and Williams at the running back position. For the Chiefs, only the one loss, the only blemish on their resume came at the hands of the Raiders. Basically, Casey wants to close this thing out and get the bye. Cleveland, 10-point favorite at the Jets. Looking at a total, probably be similar to the Giants game, so something in the 46 range. Did you ever think you'd hear the Jets in a letdown spot? I mean, the Jets get the win over the Rams. Give them full marks. They avoid the bagel, but they probably lose Trevor Lawrence in the process. Oh, I mean, the headline, they showed it on the Sunday night game. The back page of the New York Post, it said, Lawrence Welp. Only the Jets, right? But hey, listen, they played hard. They really did. And Darnold played pretty good against the Rams, and they get the win. Cleveland's on a mission here. They're playing some really good football, trying to move up the ladder in the AFC. Honestly, though, at what point when you sit there and say, what's the difference between playing an Indy, a Tennessee, a Buffalo, a Miami? The difference is minuscule. To me, it's all about getting in there and getting healthy. Maybe some of these later games talking about rest. We'll get to that in a moment. Indy's at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, the advanced number was 3. It's 2.5, obviously pending the Pittsburgh result Monday night with Cincinnati. But Indianapolis, they get a win. They survive against Houston. Sometimes it's not easy for this Colts team. But Rivers, he and Reich are on the same page, and that defense is good. And obviously they've got a pretty good running game. This is one of the better games of the week, without a doubt. But obviously, for Indy, monster game, tied atop the AFC South with Tennessee. And then Carolina is at Washington. Don't forget, Ron Rivera against his old mates. The advanced number was Washington -3. That number's down to -1.5. No posted total on the game because we're waiting to see, is there a chance that Alex Smith can play in the game, or will it be Haskins again? Haskins has the mobility, but he's limited if they become one-dimensional. So clearly that number, I think that's really a question mark on Alex Smith. And Bridgewater, Carolina, listen, they played hard against Green Bay, fumble at the 1, shot themselves in the foot. But this Carolina team, for rule, they compete and they compete hard. And clearly, Washington still has a lot to play for, and that NFC East is still up for grabs. Chicago, the advanced number was 3.5. It's up to 6.5 at Jacksonville. The total's 47. Jags have run for the bus. Now they're sitting there going, hey, wait a second, we got Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the players are going to play hard, but Chicago's back in this. And they're a different team with Trubisky at the helm. So you see that thing going up to 6.5. Hard to fathom the Bears laying 7 on the road against anybody, but the number's certainly trending that way. The total in the game is 47. Actually, that's a good total, because I think this could be one of those in and out kind of games where maybe it's more teams move the ball between the 20s and the field goal kickers could be busy. The Giants at Baltimore, looking at 9.5. Giants just didn't have any answers with McCoy at quarterback against the Browns. Are we going to see Jones here in the last couple of weeks? Again, the NFC East is up for grabs, but Baltimore, they cannot clown around. You got a Baltimore team just desperately trying to get in. They pulled the Sasquatch foot out, get the crazy win against Cleveland, thump Jacksonville. Lamar Jackson running around making plays. Again, not facing the toughest of competition. Here they get a Giants team that does have a lot to play for, but going on the road, Baltimore will be in ill humor. That number probably gets to 10, if not higher. Cincy's at Houston, 2 teams basically out of it, 8.5 up to 9. We'll wait and see what the Bengals do on Monday night. Offensively challenged, but a short work week, playing a physical team like Pittsburgh does not necessarily bode well for Cincinnati. If anything, this is a number that could go up. Watson, Houston were very competitive against the Colts. Denver at the Chargers. The Chargers, the advanced number was 2.5. It's up to 3. The total's 49.5. Denver gets thumped by the Bills. The Chargers win a hard-fought, close game. Needed overtime to do it, but they beat the Raiders. Obviously in L.A., I think Locke is starting to get a little bit better and find his wide receivers. Gordon and Lindsey are giving them some offense now. Honestly, there's a total. You wouldn't have thought this a while ago, but the way Herbert slings it around and Eckler's back, 49.5 is the total. I expect this total to probably exceed 50. Philly and Dallas. Loser is out. Finally, one of them will be done. You finally find a way to, to stick a dagger in them. Pick was the advanced number. Well, we're looking at Dallas minus 1.5 in this spot, or Philly minus 1.5, excuse me. The total's 49.5. Philly very competitive with Jalen Hurts. They come up short against Arizona, but believe me, this kid has turned things around in terms of what that offense is capable of. Carson Wentz says he doesn't want to be a backup. Well, who cares what he says? It should be what he does. Hurts has the starting job. No getting around that. Total's a little interesting at 49.5. And Elliott missed the game last week, but Pollard actually looks like he's running better. This is another total that conceivably could go up a little bit. All right, monster game. Rams at Seattle. Seattle, a 2-point favorite. Total on the game is 46.5. Now, the Rams won the first matchup, and their defense really shut down Russell Wilson, as did Washington, to be honest with you. But Seattle gets the ugly win, while the Rams have the hideous loss to the New York Jets. The first matchup was lower scoring, and the Rams kept Russell Wilson from throwing a touchdown pass. He threw 2 picks. One of them was a pick six. Pay-per-view event, if Metcalf's foot's okay, he got nicked a little bit. He against Jalen Ramsey will be very interesting. But don't forget that first game. Everybody say, oh, that was a lower scoring game. I'll play the under. In that first game, Chris Carson was out, Carlos Hyde was out. Seattle had no running game. They were one-dimensional, and the Rams exploited that. I think with a running game now, play action, Seattle's offense will be better. I think the Rams have a stone in their shoe. Don't forget, as bad a loss as that was for the Rams, they beat Seattle the first time around, so they still control their own destiny. By winning this game, they move back ahead of Seattle. I think the total, in a big game like this, I just think it's the way these guys like to play. I think this game will be higher scoring, and I do think the total will be reflected. I think it goes up to 47.5. Speaking of a high total, now, Tennessee and Green Bay 4.5, total's 56.5. 56.5 in a game that's going to be played at Lambeau Field on Sunday night. The game will be played in the teens. We don't know yet how windy or blustery it will be or if there's even going to be snow. Tennessee can score. Tennessee has a hard time getting off the field on third down. Rodgers, Packers, very comfortable playing in the cold at home. They played a lower scoring game. Get out of Dodge, get the win over Carolina, and they're comfortable. Let Aaron Jones run the ball again. But I would say this on a Sunday night prop, I'd be playing Devontae Adams over anything they post because he had a quiet game in the last game against Carolina. But obviously both these teams, a lot to play for. New Orleans loses. Green Bay wants to lock up the 1 seed, get the bye, make people come to Lambeau. Tennessee wants to keep pace, keep rolling along the top of the AFC South, now along with Indianapolis. Fun game. I just think at this time of year in Lambeau, I think this total's a little high. And I don't think the Sharps will let that stick. I think this is a total that will come down. And then Monday Night Football, I'm a Bills fan, full disclosure. I never thought I'd ever say this. The advanced number was 4.5. The Bills are 6.5-point favorites at Foxborough. Now, you could say this is a letdown spot for the Bills, winning the division, first time in 25 years. There's a big part of me says they also want to exercise the demons themselves and take it out on the Patriots and be done with it. I would think Belichick can't want to go with Cam Newton again next year. So why wouldn't you play Stidham in this spot to see what you actually have to work with? That being said, Stephon Gilmore got banged up in the Miami game. It didn't look good. So if he's not there, who's going to cover Stephon Diggs? Diggs had 92 yards in the first game against the Patriots, but it was Buffalo's running game as Miami shredded the Patriots this past week